Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Night of the Living Burg DVD commentary track. This is Josh Heller, and I am joined by our director, Andy Cach. Andy, say hello to the people.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
So we are in it. We are in the Night of the Living Burg. We're getting some preview of the puppet as we see the names of the performers.
Yep.
And where was this film shot?
So this was actually a street in Dearborn, Michigan. I wanted to do like how Night of the Living Dead starts with like the car kind of like just driving
Like going
through
to the cemetery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I got the idea of the burger eating the names because of actually Ernest goes to jail. So in the beginning of that movie, there's like a silhouette of him and he's like getting chased by the cops or like prison bars and it's all silhouette. So I wanted to take that and kind of use that, but then I also love Ernest Scared Stupid. So I ended up using the same, like a similar font to what they used in that. And then I was like, I just want the burger to come out and be eating the names. And those two movies were kind of like my inspiration in doing that. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, and now we are in the laboratory.
Yep.
Where did you shoot this?
So at my job, they actually gutted this room out. So this was actually the old kitchen at the restaurant I work at. And I was like, there's just a clean slate room. I can make this into a science lab.
Yeah.
So as you can tell, you know, it's bare walls. There's like nails popping out. I didn't have much of a budget, so I wanted to originally like actually make a set. But this was a very like, you know, because the restaurant opens at 4. We would get there at 9 a.m. and shoot until about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then we had to be out and cleaned up, and then I had to work the rest of the day. So I found those like string lights at a store. I printed that sign out and got the frame at like the dollar store.
Yeah, there's a lot of labeling gags in this scene.
Yeah. And I found, you know, just bought like all the science stuff off of Amazon. Just because like I didn't really know. I was like, where do I find this stuff? It's when you need like weird niche stuff, you're like, what store do I go to?
Yeah, they don't have it at Target.
Right, exactly. I'm like, where can I find this? I did get the goggles at like a Meijer or something, the gloves and all that. There's a little virtual
I never
boy.
Noticed the virtual boy. That's brilliant.
I was like, all right, I need to make this.
Okay, and is this Lil Dip?
That is
the
Lil
famous
Dip.
cat?
That is my cat, Lil Dip, yes. Next to a sandwich that I photoshopped in, then printed out at Staples.
Where did you meet these two performers?
So, me and Nicole, the female scientist, we were in an improv troupe together called Unicornucopia.
Oh, of course.
Yep, and she actually ended up moving to New York.
Okay.
And I had posted something on Instagram where I was like, hey, looking for actors to be in my movie. And she was like, she DM'd me and she was like, hey, I'm actually going to be in town for a wedding Wednesday. I think we shot this on, this was our first day of shooting, Wednesday, the 18th of September. And she ended up coming through and we set up the date, and then Jake, the male scientist, we found him, or not found him, but we've known him through the Detroit improv, the Detroit improv community as well. Worked with my brother and his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I've known him, and it was just like I was at Planet Ant Theater in Hamtramck and just kind of asking people after the show, like, give me your email if you want me to send you the script.
Awesome.
And he said yes, and he actually, the night before he called me, and I had this sinking feeling, and he was like, yeah, I got into an accident. My car's in the shop. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it tomorrow. And then I told Nicole, and she's like, well, let me talk to him. And then that night, Nicole goes, I'm going to pick him up and bring him to set. And I was like, thank God. And I did have somebody on backup, but Jake did that part so well. It's just, I wrote it for, like, I wrote, like, you know, like when I'm writing, it's like you kind of have to hear their voice, how they, you know what I mean? So, like, I wrote it for him.
Oh, and here's our delivery boy.
Yes.
Played by Andy Cach.
Yep. Originally, this was supposed to be a semi in an actual meat packing plant, but I couldn't find anyone to play the part, so I ended up playing it. It was a short role, so I said, I'm just giving myself just something small.
And then our hero here is played by Logan Munson.
Yep.
Who I remember from doing, I think, stand-up at the Comedy Project in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, so come to find out, he actually, he was at TCP. Like, he knew a bunch of people, and I had never met him until I met him. So him and my brother were on the farm team at Planet Ant Theater.
Okay.
And that's how I met him. And we were chatting, and he's like, yeah, no, he's from Ludington, I believe.
Okay.
And then came down here and then moved over to Detroit. So, but yeah, this is my block. This is my street I grew up on. So yeah, everything in the film besides this whole sequence was shot at the restaurant I work at. Science lab, everything. Everything else was shot in the restaurant. But
okay.
But I'll show you the cheats I did. I did a couple cheats, you know. You got to put in that cheat code, man.
Now, you mentioned writing for the scientists, and I was wondering, especially after hearing that your performers are improvisers, are any of these joke lines improvised on the day?
So this scene, I let them have free reign because... So Jake and Nicole have performed together before. They're like, because they have really good chemistry on camera and just in general. But like, most of this, like, they basically took the script as like a bones and then threw in jokes, and we just kind of filmed. It made it a little difficult to edit.
I believe that.
But once I got to that point, I was like, oh, okay, like, this is, you know, I can add this works well.
I love this moment. The transformation of the scientist to the investigator.
Yes. And yeah, I did. So, like, you know, while we were filming, like, I would get little ideas and just be like, hey, I want to get a shot of this. And I was like, I want to get a shot of you slowly putting the fedora on. Because then, like, you know, as you're filming, you're also kind of inspiring yourself, you know? So I was like, oh, yeah, let's get a shot of the fedora going on. Because then, like, my Andy brain would switch on and be like, I want to put in something goofy here. You know what I mean?
I'll do my best.
But, yeah, I would like to do...
Bye.
I liked starting with these two before we get to the restaurant because it lets you know that things are going to be fun.
Yeah.
I remember watching this when you did the West Michigan premiere in Wealthy Theater, and it just felt so good to laugh with a theater full of people.
Oh, it was so awesome. There's a lot.
Now,
of
who is this handsome chef? Do we know him?
Yeah, so actually, the handsome chef is my brother.
Good genes.
Yeah, he. You know, this was like our first like film project together, which was awesome. Like, we've performed here and there, but like, I always wanted to do something more with him. So like, one of my goals for this movie was to get my brother in it, and like, I was like, you're gonna play the chef. So, and he's an actual like chef in real life, even though he doesn't like to be called a chef. I don't know the whole thing behind that, but like, he is. He's
and
really
as a
good.
little brother, you probably always dreamed of killing him, and you finally got to do it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay. And coming in here is this the assistant director, Jimmy?
Yep. So this is my buddy Jimmy Murray. We've been working together on films. I helped him do Dr. James Hide and Seek, which we showed. And then we did a sketch called Trenchy, which he wrote and directed. And then this was kind of my project, and we did that together. And currently working on some sketches and stuff, but we're winter's hard, so yeah, we're still getting there. But there's like a bunk brother scene or thing.
Oh, is that what the reference is to?
So it was actually, I wrote that in because me and my brother had bunk beds growing up. And then I just kind of wrote it into that. And Jimmy and his brother, which actually Jimmy's brother's in this, he's about to enter in a second here. That's Jimmy's brother, Bobby.
When he came on screen, I swore I knew him, but I think there's just so many people who live here who look like him, and that I don't.
Beard and plaid shirt.
That's just
dark-rimmed glasses.
every you walk across 12 of those every time you walk down the streets of Grand Rapids.
But yeah, it was cool because like me and Jimmy both got our brothers in, and Jimmy and his brother did live together. And I don't know, it's just like when you're writing, you just kind of you like to put little like nods to things, So a lot of inspiration there just from like.
Tell me about your female lead.
Oh, so this is Kelly Wasmer. She was actually in Jimmy's short film over the summer when we shot this, summer of 24. And I messaged her, and I was originally going to get another person from the Planet Ant farm team, but she couldn't do it. And I texted Kelly, and she was like, yeah, I'd love to be in it. I sent her the script. And she was awesome. Like, I was so happy with how the casting turned out. So
now we're literally in the kitchen that you work in for your day job at this point.
Correct. I did do all of the lighting, so that light in the hallway was actually there, but I love that shot of like how it's a nice cool blue, and then you have the dark red, like it's almost like signifying like if I go through here, I'm gonna die almost. You know what I mean? It was funny because like people that I work with, like I didn't even recognize the kitchen, like it was just lit so differently. And there are scenes where I didn't light it, I just kind of had the lights on. But I tried to light, like my goal for this was to just really do my best and showcase with what skills I've learned thus far just in film. So I really wanted to work on lighting. If you notice, which I was a little bummed about, I don't know if you noticed, but there is a dot. So the camera was dirty, and I always notice it.
I never noticed it, and now I see it.
Yes, and there is a way to fix that in post, but it's literally a frame by frame. You're literally basically just scrubbing that dot out.
The only people who are going to see that are the people who listen to this commentary track.
Well, that's awesome because I see it all the time, and it annoys the hell out of me. Also, that last scene where me and Jake were talking, we literally had like 2 takes of it, and it was everybody reading our lines before we said the lines. Because if you notice, that scene is not, because like that was the end of the day. That was our last. I was like, we have to get this in, and I'm too busy. I didn't memorize the lines, so I was just like, you guys feed me the lines, and I'll make this happen. So it was like editing. It was like everyone saying the line, me forgetting it, and then trying it again, and then so like cutting. It was basically just cutting between the lines at that point.
Besides that, we have a lot of reservations. So
You really kind of built up this ensemble in the kitchen, and now we literally get to see them line up. Who are the other 2 actors that we haven't talked about yet?
So I have my buddy Doc, who plays Little Rick. He, me and him were actually working at the Winchester in Grand Rapids.
No way.
He was there the night we actually thought of this, because originally we tried to shoot this in Grand Rapids. Like we were going to write and do everything here October of 23, but it just never happened. Doc's also a musician, so he was working on music. I was kind of going through my own stuff. You know, I ended up, like a couple months later, I ended up moving back to the Detroit area. And, you know, it just ended up, like, working out because, one, I don't think we could have got it done at the Winchester. And it's a very small kitchen. So, like, some of these shots I got, it's because the kitchen I work in now is big. So it makes it a lot easier to get some of these shots. And then the other actor who plays Chris, that's my buddy Scott. He actually just moved back to the Detroit area as well about a year and a half ago. He moved back from Pittsburgh.
And he has a production credit as well, is that right?
He does, yeah. So he was actually camera. So he was getting. So we kind of split. You saw like Doc dancing in the dish room. I was like, Scott, you go get that. Just get shots of him doing that, and then So we kind of split up. But then, like a scene like this, like that was Scott's camera, that was my camera. So we were doing like the same scene with two different cameras.
And what type of cameras were you shooting on?
So I have a Canon 70D, which I got. I know it's a little outdated, but it's still a good camera, and I have a good Sigma lens for film. It's like I don't know. It's a pretty good lens. And then my buddy Jimmy has a Sony A62 or 6300. And he also got a really good lens for it. And right now, this is all shot on the 70D, because this is what I had on hand. Because I would make sure Jimmy had his camera, and then I would use mine.
I love this.
So that's me in the dumpster, and I
was wondering who had to be in the dumpster.
So I took he had another pair of pants on him, and we stuffed them with this foam that I bought. And then we tied his shoe, like we bunched up the end of his pants and like tied up his shoes, and I put the top part of his pants in the dumpster and then kind of pulled it in, and we got like a couple different angles, and it just kind of worked because it was kind of a hard shot to get, which actually technically Doc was running camera, so I guess he was third camera technically, which I didn't even like think about. In this shot right now, this is Chris's death scene. This was actually probably him turning might have been the hardest shot I got.
So we've now been introduced to this great Killer Burg puppet. Can you tell us about what it was like to work with somebody who makes puppets and shooting the puppet?
Yeah, so my whole goal was.
Oh, but I love when he turns into lettuce. I've just never seen that before. I was so happy when I rewatched it and remembered that lettuce scene. Sorry, please talk about the puppet.
Oh yeah, no problem. So our buddy Troy. So it was my brother met him, and then like we would hang out and stuff. I texted him, and like me and him are good friends, but like. The burger was actually his first puppet he did, but he's a very good artist. He does a lot of like illustrations, he does logos, all that kind of stuff, and he's good at building things. And I asked him, I was like, can you make a killer hamburger puppet? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, he told me, he's like, I want to get into puppet making. So it just worked out. And I hadn't even seen the burger until he came on set, and he brought like this little black box and had the burger in it, and I was just blown away. I was like, dude, this thing is incredible. It's exactly what I wanted. It's a little cartoony, but it's still kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Like it's very well made.
And are you hand operating it?
So that's actually Troy who made the puppet.
Okay.
Yep. So I was kind of directing him, because if you notice, like, since his hand's in it, and sometimes you might see it, but I tried my best to hide it, so it was really like hiding his hand behind a wall like that, or like, any way to keep that illusion. This shot, when it goes back and he's just sitting there, I did want him to move, but like it just like I didn't have a way to do that, and I think just having him there, because I could have done like he's knocked out, like I could have put stars above him or whatever, but I think it like gives the point. That could have been done a little better, but like
I didn't notice it wasn't moving until we sat and watched and talked it through.
Yeah.
So this is the same location.
Mm-hmm. This is the same location, but I'm playing it off as this is another restaurant.
Right.
So originally I wanted to shoot at a whole nother restaurant, but then I was like, I want to keep it at one location. I want to shoot an entire movie in basically one location. Like I said prior, besides going to my house and him riding the bike, everything was shot in one location. So that was kind of one of those illusions I was telling you about earlier, where it was like, it's the same location, but I played it off like, oh, I got to go check these other places. Here's one of them. Or like even like the science lab scene, like even people I worked with were like, where is that? And I'm like, right there.
Right.
And they're like, what?
What's the problem?
Were people excited to die on screen?
Yeah. So
Get all covered in blood?
yeah, my buddy Doc, so originally he was like, all I want to do is die in a horror movie. And this is when we were still at Winchester. And that's when I knew, I was like, all right, I got to make this thing. Because shortly after we shot, the finger. So Troy made the finger that the burger spits out. And then what we did was we took fake blood and put it in like a weed pump. And then we fed a tube through RJ's sleeve up into the hand, and then we pumped it, and then squeezed it, and then he was like, RJ was just like screaming for like probably like 2 minutes, and it's like, dude, just there's nothing coming out yet, and he's like, oh, I can feel it. He's like, ah, and I'm like, nothing's coming out. He's just screaming. But we realized, because this was a very experimental, like, I was like, oh, I want to do blood effects, blah, blah, blah. You really need to dilute that stuff, because the blood we got was so thick, and that RJ scene was not diluted. So it was kind of globby. But if you notice in Jimmy's scene where he gets his neck bit, it's more spray because we actually diluted the blood, like the fake blood.
These are the things you learn from horror filmmaking.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to comment on it, but I felt like we got some more Andy Brain when we saw when Logan's character had grabbed the fry basket and we heard the level up sound.
Yes.
And then it seemed like we had almost like a weapon selection montage.
Yes. Yep.
Very fun stuff.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I always, I love video games, and anywhere I can put little little references, like even this scene when they're walking around, I tried to give it like a Resident Evil vibe. Because if you notice, they're walking very slow. There's this narrow hallway. It's these, if I could have changed the camera angles, I think I really would have hit it, but I think it worked for what I was trying to do. This was also, that was shot, that whole sequence was shot in 2 different days. And that's not even them. So, like, they're swinging the weapons when you see them. But I had my buddy Jacob actually, when he slides up it, that's not even them holding it. That's my buddy Jake holding the weapons.
There were some shots with the puppet that seemed to have almost like a stop motion type of look. Is there something going on? I couldn't quite figure out what I was seeing, but it had a neat kind of look to it.
Yeah. So that was actually, I had to zoom in and then follow. So it was kind of like a digital follow. When he's doing that. So I tried to make it look as smooth as possible, but
the first time I watched it, I wasn't sure if some of it was stop motion.
Yeah.
It was neat.
Yeah, there's definitely motion in there. And then right now in the cooler scene, the cooler was so loud I couldn't get audio, so this is actually all dubbed.
That makes sense. You can't actually turn off the cooler at the restaurant you work at.
Yeah, exactly. But I think a lot of people, I showed people and they're like, oh no, you can't really tell. I mean, as me shooting, directing, editing, doing everything, like I can tell my little mistakes, but I think I did a good enough job to where people that don't know, I don't think are going to pick up on it, And then this was also shot 2 different days because there was a lot of pickup stuff we had to do. It wasn't like I wish I could have done it straight through, but I was a little ambitious with my shot list. Like that, yeah. And then this
Here it
part,
comes.
oh, I love this part. I was so excited to shoot this scene. That's my brother-in-law's BB gun. He plays airsoft.
And then what was that a reference to? It felt like that was from some movie or video game, and I just didn't know what it was.
Oh, the where the burger gets shot.
It becomes like the reverse silhouette.
Yeah. So I was kind of going for like in animes when they're doing the stand down and then they like both slash their swords and then somebody kind of gets cut in half. I don't know. I think maybe it was from like Kill Bill, but like really like any like anime. I feel like.
Yeah.
And then also, if you notice, Marcel is holding an automatic weapon, but it shoots like a pistol and that was kind of a joke in itself. Because I was going around like, well, if he has a pistol, it'll be one shot, and if he has you could either go like the one shot and then the guy dies, or you can do the ba 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 ba, and then he got bullet holes everywhere.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm gonna take a fully automatic gun and make it like one shot. I did 3 for like effect, but he's really only shooting one bullet, if that makes sense. Because he's just like pow, pow. And maybe I could have zoomed in, but.
And of course, you have to set up the sequel.
Mm-hmm. So those are White Castle hamburgers that I got from my local liquor store. And that was also done in the trash can at my house. Because I needed that shot, and it was like Halloween was on a Thursday, and that was done on the Wednesday before. So, yeah, I found the burgers and was like, I'm just going to make little sliders and shoot it in my in my trash can outside.
It's an amazing marketing opportunity. Cute little slider killers.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to want the plushie of that.
I know. Well, I thought about trying to do like little action figures. I kind of shot my wad on this, and now I'm trying to, kind of save up some more money, but eventually, I would like to get the second one in production. But I'm also not sure exactly what I want to do exactly yet. I think too, like after doing this one and just having that hyper focus, it like I do want to eventually do something, but like I just needed to take a break. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Just take a little break, work on some other stuff, and then come back to it.
So you have a lot of custom-made for the movie music
Yes.
throughout. Can you talk about the production of the music?
Yeah. So, well, as you know, our friend Sean, Sean McGinnity, who we did improv with, is a wonderful musician. He plays bass. He plays bass in my band that I started, and helped me record, and is just an awesome musician, songwriter. And I texted him and I was like, hey, would you be able to write and record a song for Night of the Living Burg? And he was like, yeah, sure. So he sent me the demo, and he's like, hey, this is what I have, here's one of the things. And it was the first thing he sent me, and I was like, yeah, this is it. If you want to, I told him, I was like, I'll pay for everything. If you want to go record with Rick, get everything
Rick at Cold War Studios.
at Cold War Studios, yep. And he was like, yeah, no, well, I'll get Josh Von Werewolf to do the vocals. And that's, yeah, there we go.
And that's it.
That's the movie.